Hi, Julia Watts here. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. So today we're going to do a couple of demonstrations using some of the fairy hook stamps that are being featured on Create and Craft on the 19th of December on some Let Leonie Loose shows. Do check the schedule though, just in case the dates have changed and for the times. The products are already available on my website, which is juliawattscrafts.co.uk for shipping to UK addresses, and you'll also find them on the fairyhugs.com website as well for worldwide shipping. So to start with, we're going to use a paper from the Mistywhisk background paper pad, and like all of the paper pads from Fairy Hugs, they are 6x6, 24 double-sided sheets, 24 designs, 2 sheets of each, and they're 216 GSM, so they're like a lightweight card. And you can see on the packaging they're paired, so that's one side, that's the other, that's one side, that's the other, all the way through. So you've got quite a few moons, but then you've got these papers here, which are like on the other side of this one, which are wonderful to work with. They work great with your flower fairies. Really like them. It's almost a shame that sometimes almost a shame that you use the other side, but sometimes it's good if you make a mistake because you've got the other side to use as well. So like I say, there's 2 sheets of each, but we're going to use this one, and we are going to start with the fairy poem, and you can just about read it. Let's see, it says dance fairy, fairy bright, what a truly happy sight. Let those tiny feet sway to a place of fun and play. Make your wings of silver something take you to a lily something or other. It's very hard to read actually, but it makes a great background. I shan't try and read the rest. So, but you get the feeling of it. So it's got a lot of movement to it. So we're going to just stamp this off first of all, and we are using Paradise, Let's Fine Claire. Nice blue in the background, and we're going to stamp it on this side. Don't do it like I did before. I did it wrong before. Stamped all along the bottom. But there's 2 sides to a piece of paper, which is just as well really. And if you want to get it the right way up, you've got the little dot at the bottom, and that'll show you the right way. So stamp it off first of all, and then we can use our paper. And I'll be all right once I've stamped it once, because then I know which way I'm going. Okay, so there's our start of our background, nice and subtle, and then we'll do it a second time so it's a panel all along the left hand side. Bring in that. We could step it back, but I want it to look like it's all one, like it's 2 sentences. So there's our background. And then we're going to go into our stamping platform. Butt it into the corner, so if it moves, all you've got to do is rebutt. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now. I'm sure you know what I mean. I'm going to take Fairy Library, and you've got like a little hill going on there, so I think we're going to have that Fairy Library just heading on down the hill, like so. quite a big stamp. I haven't stamped it for a while, so we'll see how it stamps. So we are going to go for the Nocturne, which is the black VersaFine Clear. Always use a nice juicy ink pad. You can get all the VersaFine Clairs on my website. They're all in stock. And I've also got stock of the Nocturne re-inker as well, the black re-inker. I don't seem to do the re-inkers of the other colours. Not that I've seen anyway in the UK. Just trying to tidy up that mess. Obviously round the actual body of the snail is where we might have to re-ink. Come on, release. It's pretty good actually, considering it's not actually been stamped for about 12 months. That is pretty good, isn't it? Let's have it a bit darker though, because we can. Because I know it's right into the corner. I know we're good. Some people were saying on Facebook that you know, they were unsure how to put scenes together. Well, so was I. So was I when I started. But you know, you can just copy somebody else's. But if you share it obviously to social media, do credit the original designer. Just to practice, but obviously as soon as you get to know your stamps, you'll think, oh, I could do that and I could do that, and it kind of evolves, and it's just a case of giving it a go. These papers are brilliant for a start, to, you know, get you going and start you off. So that's a bit darker now. It's really cool. Ignore all this mess around here, because you know me, I don't tidy it up. So that's your Snail library. Look out for the fairy library as well. That's a really cool one. We've got the fairy dictionary as well, which is a great background. So you can do the same sort of background as I've done with the fairy poem, with the fairy dictionary as well. So that's your Snail library. I also thought that we could perhaps have, let's make room for our sentiment. I thought we'd have this, I move slowly so this card is late, as a sentiment. So for a sentiment, we could have it going across there like that, perhaps, or we could have it right up there. I think if we have it there, then we can do something else up there if we want to. Obviously we will colour the library in. I might not do it in front of you though, or I might, I don't know. So we're going to do this in black, so that this stands out over the top of the Paradise ink. Make sure it's nice and dotted up to the corner. And originally this was meant to go with, what was his name? There's a tortoise that this goes really well with, but his name escapes me. Sorry. There's so many stamps now. Speedy, that's what his name was, Speedy. So you've got Speedy the tortoise and Slowly the sentiment. They go really well together. So we're going to just do that again so it's darker over the top of that blue. This is why you need a re-inker, because you use a lot of black ink. Okay, so there's our sentiment. So that's looking good already, I think. Right, so let's put that away over there. I tend to always try and put them away and I write on the top. Just snip off the hangy bit of your packaging. So you don't have to keep on undoing this, because you'll lose the stick on the bottom. And then write what it is, and then I keep them all in number order. So if I ever can't find anything, I just look up the number and there it is. Hey presto. Right, I think what we'll do is bring in this fairy liana, which is a bit of foliage. And I think we'll have some of that going in just up there like that. So I think we'll have it just like that. Just like that. Okay. And I think we'll do that in a blue actually, because I quite like the blues rather than the green. And I think we'll go for medieval blue, which is a darker blue than the Paradise. This is why you have the sheet underneath, so that you don't mess up the foam on your stamping platform. And that's why mine is such a mess. That's absolutely perfect, just in the corner. So if I move that up, then you can see what that looks like. Just frames it nicely, doesn't it? I could put some down here. I wonder how it would look if I put some down here. This is where the acetate's quite handy, actually, because you could have a bit growing off down here as well. I think I like that, actually. Let's do that. So there's two things you can do. You can either bring the plain acetate, which is a little bit mucky, or you can use you want that the right way up, and it is, so you make sure the writing's not back to front, and then you can take your liana off. So I've only just decided this. This is what happens, you see. You change your mind as you go, and it evolves. So let's pick that up, and you can take the acetate off, a bit of white, and we can put some more magnets on, because obviously we're not in the corner, are we? I think we'll be all right, because we've already stamped it once. So let's see if dangerous. I was thinking about putting some little fairy dwellers on, but we'll see. I haven't 100% made my mind up. I tend to get out my paper and then get my stamps out with my acetate that's printed on, and so I can see, even if they're new stamps, I can see how the picture's going to evolve, and then you deviate from that as you go, and you think, oh no, I don't want to do that, I want to do this instead. That looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to put it back into the corner, put it into the corner again, because we are going to go for the little fairy dwellers and see where we might want those to be. All right, because it goes on the back, doesn't it? And then we've got our little dwellers, our fairy dwellers. We've got condo dwellers 2, we've got fairy dwellers, we've got ballerina dwellers, and we've got witchy dwellers. So there's lots of different sets to choose from. So I'm wondering whether we might want to have some fairies actually, you know, hitching a ride on the toadstools. Oops, sorry, knocking the camera. On the Snail library. Okay, so I think it'd be a bit rude of them to be on his antennae, don't you? You can imagine I'm going to do that. You can imagine his little, are they called antennae? Those little bits, you can imagine, let's not do that because it's rude, isn't it? You can imagine them, like a cat's ears. You know when cats got something on their ears and they start moving, you can imagine them twitching because something's on top of them. We can just about fit her in there, I think. We can have this one that's sitting down. We can have her perhaps sitting on top of the letters up there. And we could have one on the liana up there. So let's use 4 of the 6 on this particular one, unless we can get another one. Here we go, look. This is how it evolves. You're right in the corner. No, you're not, are you? You're right in the corner. We can have another one that's just hitching a ride on the back of his slimy stuff. Oh, it's such fun. It really is. So black, Nocturne. See, actually that dark blue does look almost black, but you can't really see the difference, can you, on the screen? I can now. So we've got the little one that's grabbing a lift on there. We want a couple of that are on the toadstools. I'm just going to do them again so they're a little bit darker. Make sure we're right in the corner. There we are. This is the sort of card that your project, it doesn't have to be a card, it could be could go in a journal, that you kind of see more in them. You know, you might not necessarily notice the little fairy and the liana at the top. Actually, we could have put a fairy in the bottom as well. We might do that in a second. I forgot about the liana in the bottom. That's better. Perfect. So I wonder if we can put that other one, the last one, down here. What does she do? Oh, she can definitely go down the bottom somewhere. She can go right in the corner. That could definitely be a Voyager Discovery. Let's get rid of these first and all the mess I've made. Let's show you some more inspiration with the fairy library while I'm putting these away. So here we've got, this is a card, it could be a journal page, and we've got the library there. We've got the liana in the corner again, but just a bit more of it at a slightly different angle, because the thing with that one is that you can get lots of different angles. And there's one of the sentiments, that's the relax sentiment that came out with the book collection. And then this one, very, very similar to the previous one. Again, we've got one of the fairy dwellers on the toadstool and another one coming in from the side, and that's the between pages sentiment on that one, and the fairy dictionary in the background. So just like we've used the fairy poem, we've got the fairy dictionary, but obviously the snail is nice and straight on that one. So let's come back, let's just do our little fairy just in this liana here, which we could have done at the same time. Are we on black? Yes, we are. My fairies are well used, and they've all got little skirts on as well. They're not like just bodies. And you can obviously colour in the fairies if you wanted to. I don't think we need to do that one again, actually. I think she's absolutely fine as she is. Let's fetch this out of here. Mucky fingers. Try not to get muck all over my card. And this is going to go onto black piece of card, like so. So obviously I'm not going to put that on there yet because I've got to colour in the snail. So I'll do that and then I'll come back and we'll carry on. So we're all coloured in now, and I've actually used, for these, I've used the Sakura watercolour pens, the Koi's. You can also use your Sentimental Yours watercolour blending brush pens as well. So you can see once there's a bit of colour added, it looks fab. And I've actually matted it onto my black card as well. So let's just pop this underneath here. I do have another card, I think, to show you with the, there we go, with the Snail library. That's a tag, as you can see. So they make great bookmarks because obviously it's a library, books, they go together, don't they, really? So so yeah, so let's just do a second demo for you as part of this. And this is an A6 card, and I've got some low tack tape. It's a Scotch one, just around the edges, and it's just slightly less than the width of the low tack tape, so just over the edge just a little bit. And we're just going to make a very simple A6 card. This is your the Fairy Hugs Party Streamers stencil, so we're going to pop that on there like so. And I've got some spiced marmalade distress ink here. Obviously you can use your bigger ink pad, which is a lot easier than the small ones for this, but mine are packed away. Let's just add a little bit of a background. So you just pick your favourite colour. I normally go for pink on these, but so I thought we'd just do the spice marmalade for a change. You can secure your stencil if you want to. Let's see if that's enough. Yes, it's rather lovely actually. Yes, I like that. Obviously that's going to just wash off in water. And now we can remove the foam tape, the low tack tape, because that's all we needed it for. So obviously you can have the orientation whichever way you want it to be. I'm going to have a card, like a tent card, so it's going to be folded that way. Let's go into our stamping platform. And we're going to butt it up into the corner. And I'm going to leave it folded, because that's just the way I do it. And hope that I don't get dirty fingerprints everywhere. And we're going to use the magical key. This was from the Love collection. Beautiful, beautiful key. And we're going to have that just so it's coming off the edge a little bit. Let's just check that it's straightish. And we're going to stamp it in Nocturne Burst Fine Clear, the black one. I've not used this stamp for a while, which is true with a lot of my stamps, because there's so many now. You tend to use just the newest ones, don't you? Especially when you're working for a company, or with a company. You use the most recent ones, but there's some fabulous stamps, and it'd be really nice to get the others out as well. So we're on watercolour cards, so it's not like the Fairy Hugs paper pads, who are very kind to you as a stamper. They give you a good image virtually the first time, every time. Not 100% of the time, but you know, it's very forgiving. Whereas watercolour cards, especially this one, this is the super smooth hot press from Sentimental Yours, it kind of sucks up the ink, and so you do find you need to stamp a couple of times. So definitely use your stamping platform if you're using a watercolour card. So I'll just show you that stamp, how it's stamped. Normal Mess. Isn't it beautiful? It's a beautiful stamp. Like most of the Fairy Hug stamps, they're really, really good quality. Such fine detail. Put this back in properly, because when I want to use the acetate, I won't be able to see. That's your magical key. And there's many fairies that can sit on the magical key. The one that's in the show is called Cara, but also Valentina sits very nicely on there. Valentina's face on, whereas Cara's kind of sideways on. And so she can sit just on the key like that. See, it helps when you've got a dirty stamp, because you can see exactly where you're going with it. If your stamp isn't dirty, you can just use a printed acetate and then pop your image on top and then pick it up. Just like I did with the Fairy Liana in the bottom left corner of the previous card. We'll have to stamp her twice, I know that for a fact, because she's not been used for a while and we're on that watercolour card. I like doing these little cards, these little 6x6 cards. I mean, she's pretty good as she is actually, but we are going to go a second time because I want that depth of black on her clothes. If you don't like black, stamp in grey. Stamp in whatever colour you want to. Give it a good full press. Yeah, second time's a dream. Look at that. She's beautiful. I do like our fairies and the dragons and everything really. I get quite excited about my fairy hugs, especially when the new collections come out, because we get to play first. And then we're going to add a sentiment. Oh, there's me hitting the camera yet again. Wouldn't be a Julia video without hitting the camera. So we're going to have, this is Stardust Magic, and this says, wishing you fairies in your life, stardust in your soul, and magic in your days. And we're going to have that. Should we have it fully on? Let's have it fully on actually. I say fully off and on, I mean fully on the background. I think that's pretty straight. We'll go with that. And that's all we need. 3 stamps and a stencil and a bit of ink. These are really quick to do. Obviously the angel policy with Fairy Hugs is that you can make your make cards and projects to sell. You can't actually just, you know, stamp the fairy out loads and loads of time and sell the stamped image. You have to actually make a project. But they're just such a pleasure to use, and I think they're so rewarding as well, because you can make something fabulous really quickly, or you can spend absolutely ages. It's up to you. I think that's perfect. I don't think we need to stamp it again. So there's our second project. I told you it was a quick one. So I've done 2 in this video. We've done one on the Mistywhisk paper with the Snail library and the fairy poem and the Liana and the fairy dwellers and the slowly sentiment. So there's lots going on there. And then we've done this little simple one here. So we could just add, before we finish, let's just add a little bit of colour to Cara's wings. Let's move that out of the way. And let's pick, oh, let's see what this one, I don't know these colours very well, because I'm normally on my Sentiment of Yours pink. That's a bit too pink. Let's go for this one. These are yours, Koi from Sakura. Yeah, that one. Let's go for this one. We'll just do her wings all in the same colour. Obviously this is watercolour card, so you could do some nice blending and get a nice finish to it. But just to show you, you don't need to be a super colorist to get a really nice effect. Is that a dirty mark? No, it's a bit fluff. Can't stand dirty marks. You can add a little bit of the colour to her flower and to her skirt if you want to. And maybe to her necklace. So she's very coordinated, this fairy. And then you can pick a light brown. Yeah, you could pick a light brown for her hair. Just a little bit of colour just to set her off. She's lovely, isn't she? They're so easy to make. Here's the same card with a different sentiment, different colour and different stencil, but I've also stamped in the background before the mask was taken off. Here's a journal page, and that big sort of, it's a clef. It's the cleft tree, that's what that one's called, and that's got Valentina in it, which is the other fairy that can sit on the key. And then Cara's down below, she's sat, and then this is another version but more colourful and a different orientation. Again, the same fairies in the clef and on the magical key, and then the vine heart frame with the lovebirds. So you can do, you change the colour and you get a different look. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and just as a reminder, you can find everything on my website juliawattscrafts.co.uk for shipping to UK addresses. Do check out my YouTube channel and like and subscribe. That's where you are now. There's lots and lots of videos of fairy hugs on there, and if you're on Facebook, you'll find me Julia Watts Crafts. And also, you can also have a look at the Fairy Hug Store Facebook group. Ask to join that, and we love to see your makes in there. So finally, thank you for watching, and do check out the other videos. All for now. Bye.